Hey Melkart, this is Yashasvi from the Education 2.0 conference. Very congratulations for getting recognized on our platform.
Thank you, Yash. It's an absolute honor and an absolute pleasure to be with you this morning.
Likewise, likewise. Can you please introduce yourself and the organization you are representing today?
Also, maybe, Yash, the best way to introduce myself is to tell you a little bit about my purpose, because once you see the big picture, then it's easy to say,
I get it.
which way we impact the world.
All right.
A couple of decades ago, when I started this journey, I started with three words:
Okay.
enabling greatness everywhere. And Yash, greatness is not like a cliche or a plaque on the wall. By greatness,
Right.
we mean helping people sing their song and raise their own flag, finding the best
Right.
version of themselves. But also quantitatively, we mean for any organization to find its best version is to be
Right.
able to drive colleague engagement or employee engagement, drive their customer engagement or guest or patient engagement, how much they're in love with the brand. But it's
Right.
also about sustainable profitability. And the fourth element is leaving that impact,
Right.
that legacy in the
Right.
world. And when we come in, we help these companies find that winning environment. Maybe the best way to explain that, I don't know if you've heard that story, but there was a baby camel with his mom in a zoo, and the baby camel looked at his mom and said, "Listen, mom, I have a few questions. Why
Right.
we as camels have humps, round feet, and long eyelashes? I mean, they drive me nuts. Look at the other animals; they look amazing." And the
Right.
mom said, "Listen, we need humps to kind of, store water and fat to survive the
Right.
desert. We have
Right.
long eyelashes to be able to survive the windy desert. And we
Right.
have brown feet to maneuver the sand of the desert." So the
Right.
son said, "Wow, that's amazing, man. I mean, we have all of these amazing stuff to really survive the desert. But I have one more question. Why
Right.
are we living in the zoo?"
Ah.
Right? And sometimes, we come in as MRT consultants. It's a boutique luxury house,
I.
and we kind of create that environment for individuals and organizations to be able to raise their flag and sing their song. Listen, Yash, I mean, it's more than me. I mean, I believe in the greatness of every human being. And I
Right.
believe we all have a song to sing, we all have a flag to raise. But sometimes we get so focusing on the small little things that we forget that purpose, right? And
Right.
we
I
take
get
that
it.
song and that flag with us to the grave. So as
Right.
MRT consultants, we come in and say, "Listen, let's look at your culture and how can we jazz up that culture. Let's
Right.
look at your leaders and how can we elevate those leaders to the next level. And finally, let's look at your customer or patient or guest experience and let's spice it up." And in
Right.
this process, we help you and we elevate you to a state of greatness
Ah.
where winning is the title of the show.
I see. That is really a wonderful introduction by you. That is really good to hear that. Other than that, like, what do you think about this industry? Like, how this industry is transforming lives at a global scale?
Listen, yeah, I mean, when you look at education or at the industry of education in general, Yash, maybe one
Right.
word can summarize my answer to you:
Right.
optimization. And when
Ah.
I say optimization, I think it's approach and the control alt delete approach, if you know what I'm
Right.
talking about. I
Right.
mean, we live in a world where organizations and individuals are living in a copy paste zone. I
Zone.
mean, you look at what's happening around, right? You
Right.
copy, you paste in your own organization. You look what's the most, talk of the town app or book, and then you go, you copy and you paste it in your own life, right?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
but I believe the world of education is inviting humanity to reimagine the
Right.
way we do business and the business we do, the way we live, the way we approach life and business in
Right.
all its greatness. And I believe that control alt delete, when you have you only press control alt delete if you want to reboot a certain system, right?
Right.
And I believe the power of education comes in to reboot that system, work on yourself. Maybe the best way to look at that, my father is an educator. My father, have educated generations in Lebanon.
Okay. Okay.
And then, when I was a kid, he used to take me with him on hunting trips. And
Okay.
all I remember, Yash, is my father running after the prey, and I'm running after my father, and the prey running away from us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've hated every minute of it, but he told me that in life, you
Right.
have to pursue things, right? You have to
Right.
run after your dreams. But listen to this. On some other occasions, he used to take me with him on fishing trips. And
Okay.
all I recall is we had a chalet in the Golden Beach. It's a beautiful area. Is we used to sit down and with a bait
Right.
attract the fish to us, right?
I see.
And,
Right.
and then he told me life, yes, is about pursuing things, but sometimes it's also about attracting things. I didn't get
Right.
it that time. And then I told him, what is that attracting things? And he
Right.
said, education and learning. And I still didn't get it. So I said, tell me more. He said, in life, you are the bait. Your
Right.
organization is the bait. And the more you work on the more you work on that organization, the more that bait will be attractive to the world. And this is where the
Right.
control alt delete comes in, right? Where you
Right.
reimagine, you look at the future. And the best way of saying it differently is be unreasonable. Right?
Right.
Because if you're reasonable, you adapt yourself to what's happening in the world. But
Right.
education allow us to reimagine and be unreasonable in a sense, allow the world to adapt to us. And
Right.
then when you come in, you optimize your life, you optimize your organization, and in that process, you optimize the world. And that's
Right.
for me what the power of education is literally all about.
I completely get it. That is really wonderful to hear that. That is really good to know. Other than that, like how did it feels to receive a recognition for your own accomplishments
Yeah, listen, it's amazing always when you recognize it. Let's face it. I mean, we can't hide it, right? It's
Right.
amazing in this beautiful, plaque that I've received and the recognition itself and the opportunity to meet people, the opportunity to listen to others. I mean, the
Right.
conference itself is a celebration. So
Right.
maybe, the award is a small minor part of it,
I
but I
understand.
would
Right.
like to see that award as a celebration of the entire education industry, if you know what I'm
Industry.
trying to
Right.
say. And it's
Right.
a
I get.
celebration. It's a celebration of opportunities too, if you think about it, Yash. I mean, sometimes we live in a world where we label things, right? And we don't see the opportunities anymore. And this recognition, whether it's for me or to celebrate the education industry in general, it's a celebration of opportunities that,
Opportunity.
listen, education
Right.
is there to open doors for you and,
Right.
and, and, and allow you to see things differently. Let me tell you another story,
Yes,
and it
please.
puts this in perspective.
Yes,
There
please.
was a gentleman who had a dog, and one day he took his dog to the park.
Okay.
And as he was walking in the park with his dog, they've arrived at a small lake.
Okay.
So the gentleman picked a stick from the floor and threw the stick in the water. Now,
Oh,
of course, the dog walked on the water. Are you with me? Walked on the water. I mean, that's a miracle, for crying out. Have you seen dog walking on the water?
no.
Picked the stick and came back. I mean, he
Okay.
couldn't believe it, right? He said, it's unbelievable. He picked another stick, threw it in the water. The dog walked on the water, picked the stick and came back. He said, man, listen, I have to have a witness. You see, that's a
Right.
miracle. It's not something you see every day. So he
Right.
called his friend, Harold. He said, Harold, meet me at the park. I want to show you something now. So Harold left everything. He met, Joe at the park
Right.
with his dog. They walked together and they arrived at the lake.
Right.
Now, when they arrived at the lake, Joe picked another stick from the floor and threw it in the lake. Now,
Late.
of course, his dog again walked on the water, picked the stick, and came back. I mean, you could
Right.
imagine his face, right? He looked at Harold. He said, hey, Harold, have you seen something special about my dog? Tell me, man. And then Harold looked at him with a bit of a sad face and said, listen, man, your dog cannot swim. You see
Okay.
what I'm trying to say? There are some people, yes, that they just don't see miracles around them. There
Right.
are some people who don't see opportunities around them. There
Right.
are some people who only see what's missing in their lives, what's missing in their organization. And in this process, they lose their zest, they lose their magic, their worth and potential. And then
Right.
accordingly, they move in totally without a purpose. And I believe, yes, when you gave me that award, I felt so proud, but I felt it's more a celebration of the power of
Right.
education, a celebration of the power of opportunities, and the power that, yes, that dog can walk on the water, that yes, you have so much potentials within you, and
Right.
education is that platform that will enable you to inject yourself, inject your talent with the skills and the knowledge that will enable you to reach near perfect performance in
Right.
everything that you do in life. And that's the celebration. It's a celebration of greatness. Maybe, yes, the
Right.
award was so special for me, honestly, but I felt it's more a celebration of greatness. And that was the best part of it at all.
I see. That is really good to know. Even the story that you told me definitely inspired a lot. It all shows about the thinking, like the perspective what a person carries. Definitely, that is really important. If we apply that same thing in the real life, that is really good to know that.
Correct. I mean, think about your life. I mean, I
Right.
can sit with you right now and
Right.
just put a list of the things that we don't have, or
Right.
the list of the things that others people have and we don't, right? Because
Right.
of social media nowadays, because you can access people's lives, right?
Right.
And these lives is just a mere picture, right?
I
So
see.
you
Right.
don't know the background behind the picture. You see a picture and you then, leave it for
I
people's
right.
interpretation. And I believe this affects people because why? They start envying others people's life. Like there is nothing wrong with envying people, right? So you learn
Right.
and you grow and you use them as mentors and so on and so forth. But in the process, don't lose yourself. Don't
Right.
lose your magic. Don't lose your credibility. And what is credibility? If you think about it, Yash, your credibility is the byproduct of two things: your
Right.
character and your competence.
Right.
Character is who you are, and competence is what you do.
What you
And
do.
guess
Right.
what? What's the fine link between these two? One word: education. See it in the
Education.
form of mentorship, seeing it in the form of a workshop, see it in the form of attending a formal, class, see it in the format of an informal discussion, right? Education comes in many ways, shapes, and forms. People sometimes think of education as like you're at school or you're in a university. Well, yes, partly that's a formal way of
Education. Right.
educating yourself. But there's many ways. Listen, man, my discussion with you, that's an
Right.
informal education, right? I mean,
Right.
I'm from you, you learn from me. Those listeners can maybe take a golden nugget and aha moment here and there. So education comes in many ways, shapes, and forms. And here's
Right.
what I would maybe end up this is that it springs from the most unexpected places sometimes, right? And I
Right.
believe if we are open, right? Rather
Right.
be like Joe rather than Harold, right? See the
Right.
dog that can walk on the water rather than the dog that can't, swim.
Right.
See that hunting, and fishing as a way of life. Seeing
Right.
that camel that wants to escape that zoo and experience his abilities. I
Right.
believe education is that missing link that we need today to work on ourselves, to work on our credibility. And guess what? The fragrance of credibility, that's what I call charisma or personal presence. And
Right.
this is how you can bring your magic to the world, whether it's in the form of you as a human being, or whether it's in the form of your team in an organization, or whether it's in the form of an organization in the midst of the world.
Right. That is really good to know that. Even Melka, thank you so much for your kind words related to the knowledge that you shared. That is really good to know that. Please tell us where we can find more about you or where we can find more about your organization.
Absolutely. Listen, man, the first thing, if you want to learn a little bit about me, is get my beautiful book up there, right? It's
Okay.
called Greatness is Now Here, right? So you could look at LinkedIn, Melkart Rouhana. You will see my name maybe somewhere on the title of this video. You can go to melkartrouhana.com to get to learn a little bit more about me and about my company. It's MRT, like Melkart Rouhana's team, consultants.com. And of course, it would be amazing whether we join hands in the future with some of your viewers, be able to sing the song of greatness and raise the education flag up high.
I see. That is really good to know that. Thank you so much, Melkat, for having me here. It was lovely speaking with you. And yes, like I'll be more than happy to see you in our upcoming education conferences.
Hopefully, we rock the house together soon.
Definitely. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
And thank you once again for this amazing award and tons of greatness heading your way.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.